Hey everybody, this is going to be a pretty long video. Um, this is going to be a how I set up my Linux Mint machine video. And Linux Mint is my favorite Linux distro. I went back and forth between it and Elementary OS for a while, but if you have a machine that's capable of running it, I say Linux Mint is probably your best bet, I think, as far as just support, the number of applications that will work with it, the stability is just pretty much rock solid. This happens to be Linux Mint 16, the Mate or Mate interface. As you can see, and I like it over the Cinnamon interface. Don't get me wrong, I like the Cinnamon interface just fine, but I have found the Mate or Mate interface to be, I'm going to call it Mate for this video, but I have found it just to be a little bit more stable, a little bit more solid, and just a little less buggy than the the Cinnamon interface. I'm not sure why, but that's just my personal experience. But this is going to be start to finish what I do to my Linux machine, and let's get started with updates. So the first thing I do on any Linux machine is when I get done installing is check for updates. So I just go down here to my little system updater, and as you can see I'm up to date right now. Click on it, check for updates, install any updates that need to be. It's the first thing you do. Second thing I do is I will go to my terminal and I will install what's called Preload. And basically, you just do sudo apt-get install Preload, and it'll take 10-15 seconds. And what it does, it dramatically speeds up your system as far as just browsing, as far as just the UI in general. It would just speed it up pretty dramatically. I mean, as you can see, this is the specs on this machine aren't great, but everything is just very snappy, um, very responsive. It's as quick as I am. So definitely install Preload will be the next thing I would do. All right, now let's get on to the apps and how I configure those. Um, to start with, we go to accessories, and what I do is I will use something called main menu, and it comes with Mint. But if you'll type in main menu, you'll see here. And what I'll do is I will organize my start menu with this application. I will remove the things that I'm not going to use. I will bring up the software center, uninstall the things I don't want, and then remove their. Go ahead and start removing icons from here for things like document viewer and such that are going to work in the background anyway, but I don't necessarily want to see. I don't necessarily want to see it every time I bring up the start menu. So that's one of the first things I do. Next up, um, I will install this little application here is relatively new, but I'm really loving it. It's called 4K Video Downloader. And if we click on that, basically all you do is you can go to YouTube or whatever video site, copy, paste the URL here, and it will download it in whatever resolution you specify. And so far I've had no problems with it. It seems to work extremely well. You are limited as to what you can do if you don't activate it, but the free version seems to provide most of the functionality that I need, and I'm really enjoying this application. Good video downloader. Next up, as far as internet goes, is FileZilla. Absolute must-have FTP client, and very simple, very easy to work with, very solid application. It's one of the few that actually get installed on my Linux machine. Very solid. Next up, we have the default, which is the Firefox web browser. And the only things I do with Firefox, uh, I will go in and I will install, first thing, I'll remove all the bookmarks that come with it. And then I will install AdBlock Plus, and I will set my search engine to Google. And I will also set it to not memorize any of my history or any of my sites or passwords or anything like that. It will not save history. So that's how I set my Firefox up. Next up we have Lifera or Liferia or ever how you want to pronounce it, but basically it's a RSS reader, and you can go through here and you can import your own stuff, and you can set this up just like you want it. And it's just a really solid RSS reader. Had no problems with it whatsoever, and I like the interface a lot. Next up, we have my probably my favorite web browser nowadays. It's called Maxon, and let's go ahead and bring that up. It's not just quick; it's sudden. I mean, it is the fastest web browser I have ever used. It even beats Google Chrome. So I won't say it's quite as stable as Google Chrome, but as far as just sheer speed, very very nice web browser. You can see here it has the little quick launch bar here. They have a name for it, but it basically it's a speed dial type thing. And I mean, as you can see, it's very very fast. I mean, let's go to something that has a lot of graphics in it. You can see how quick that loads, and my internet connection is not that quick. So as you can see, it's a very snappy browser, and I also install ad block on it. Next up, uh, let's see. The other stuff comes with it. The Thunderbird Mail, which is a really good email client. Pigeon Messenger. Um, we have Transmission, which is a BitTorrent client. All this comes with Linux Mint 16, so you don't have to download that. Also, LibreOffice, the LibreOffice Suite Dictionary. That's the only Office products that I have. On sound and video, Banshee is uh, my preferred application. I'm going to remove Brasero. I used to like it, but I've been having some difficulties with it lately. I'm not sure if it's just a new version that's come out or an update or what, but been having a few issues with it, so I've decided to go to XFBurn. And this is just a solid burning application. I mean, you can burn documents, audio, video, whatever you want to burn, and just a really solid little burner. Nice UI. Next up, VLC Media Player, must have on any machine that I'm on. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's a Windows machine, a Linux machine, OS 10. This is my preferred media player. If VLC Media Player can't open it up, you probably don't need to open it up, period. Next up is Record My Desktop, and it's just a really simple screen recording application. Works fairly well. It works fairly well in Mate. I have not had good luck with it with Cinnamon. I'm not sure why. Next up is a product by a company called Media Human. It's called YouTube to MP3 Converter. So we go to YouTube to MP3, and basically what you do is you go to YouTube, you drag your URL over into this little drop zone, and it will download whatever video file you drop into it as an MP3 file. So a nice quick way of ripping your music from YouTube. I'm loving it, by the way. Next up, after sound and video, system tools, just the standard stuff that's installed, admin, standard stuff, except for one thing. I install Ubuntu Tweak, and the only reason I do is for the cleanup tool or the janitor. So let's go to Ubuntu Tweak and go to janitor, and this is the only reason I install this product, is to clean up all the packages and broken files and stuff that are left over should I remove a product or whatever, or remove uh, an application. So that's really the only reason I install that. Everything else is pretty much bone stock. As you can see, I have the GIMP, image viewer. Like I said, everything else is pretty much stock. I will go into text editor and change my fonts to, well, let's see here. This is a test out. I change it to Droid Sans from the whatever the default is. So that's about all that I'll do to my Linux install. I don't see that a lot else is necessary. I mean, it comes with 95% of what pretty much everybody is going to use, or what everybody's going to need. So I don't really see a need to go in and really mess with it too much more than what I have. Um, One last thing, there was a clipboard manager called, oh, what is it? Jumpcut that I did a video on that is a must-have application on my Mac, and the only equivalent that I could find for it on the Linux side of things, and let's go up to accessories here and see if we can find it, is this Parcelite, I guess is how you pronounce it. Not completely sure, but basically it's just a simple clipboard manager. It does the same thing that any clipboard manager does. It allows you to copy multiple things to your clipboard and then paste them as you go, and then you can clear the clipboard out when you're done. So, and this is how I set up my favorites here. So I have my web browsers and my email and my messengers at the top, a calculator, terminal, system monitor. Basically, I'll fire up System Monitor if I think something is dragging my system down more than it should be. So right now, as you can see, I mean, I'm running, I'm using 378 megabytes of my 2 gigs of RAM. So yeah, I mean, it's flying off less than 400 megabytes of RAM. So this is Linux, and that's what Linux does, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So I would not hesitate to install this on a machine with 1 gig of RAM. I prefer at least 2, but that's just me. Next up, and probably the last thing I'll go over here, if we go to the terminal, as you can see, my terminal doesn't look like your typical terminal does. I have just made it a little bit translucent, transparent, I guess you would say. And the simple way to do that is just go to Profile Preferences and go to Background, and then just turn on Transparent Background and set the transparency down to wherever you want it to be. So I keep my transparency pretty low here, just for the hell of it. I mean, just because I like the look of it. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I do to my system here. As you can see, I've downloaded my 4K video converter, Maxon, YouTube to MP3, and Ubuntu tweak here, and that's about all I do to it. That's all I see is necessary to make it a very, very highly functional machine. If I had a customer that I was going to set up on Linux Mint, these are probably the modifications that I would do to it, and maybe install Skype or something like that. But other than that, I mean, it's just a solid operating system. I would honestly recommend, if you're going to try Linux Mint, or excuse me, if you're going to try Linux for the first time, I would absolutely recommend Linux Mint over anything else, bar none. Linux Mint is just stable, rock solid, nice UI, fast, great support. So I would definitely recommend it. I think this version is about 1.2 gigs. You can go to linuxmint.com. You can download the ISO, like I said, about 1.2 gigs in size. Burn it to a DVD. Good to go. And that's about it. That's how I set up my Linux virtual machine, or Linux boxes, or anything that I install Linux on. And I hope this will help somebody out. Maybe some applications in here you haven't seen before. Maybe this will help. Anyway, thanks for watching.